Good afternoon, guys. It is Tuesday, 11th of April. I hope you've all had a good day, a good day's trading. Let's get straight on into the debrief. Today, I'm going to be bringing you guys a absorption of momentum play, and what I'm going to be bringing you is kind of more of a larger technical play in terms of the setup, but also understanding the actual psychology of the move. And just why patience is so important, whenever you can spot a really clear technical setup, but then trying to execute clearly and with purpose. So let's just get straight on into the chart. The area I'm going to focus on today for you guys is predominantly in this area here. This is the 3-minute Bund chart I have up. But the fundamentals of this setup, I'm going to for a quick run through. We had this initial drive out of the initial balance, and we failed at these higher prices here, around 35s, 37s, and then we rolled over, and we had this kind of straight line move, and then you had this chop in here. What I'm going to run through is just the price action here, and just the psychology of people selling in here aggressively, people paying up, etc. And you've got this area here, the 20s, which I've got highlighted here. As you see, this is a ledge, small ledge that we had formed. Everyone can see this, right? Every local is selling this level, looking for the break, trying to understand, trying to get the best price in here, and just understanding why you need to manage your clip and manage your your expectation as to when it goes. So let's get on into the ladder. Like I said, guys, it's an absorption of momentum play. The actual pattern is an IB failed breakout. It's a continuation trade in this sense. The environment is sort of medium velocity, but I was talking to a few guys today on the floor about this. When the Bund offers in this kind of way, it auctions out in a different style, and this is what I'm kind of going to run through in here. And understanding as to why and how it works that way, and why you kind of just have to have a different type of patience, and why the psychology plays so much into it. Again, it's always tight stop, sort of 2 to 5 ticks. Again, like I was saying, you kind of need to distribute your clip in this sense. So you kind of not vary your stop, but it's understanding an area to work, and how you have to be dynamic and nimble with the trade. And the reward is sort of again, guys, level dependent. As you can see here, we have the low coming in at 16s. So anywhere sort of below 16s is your target in theory for this trade. Let me just get rid of all this ink for you guys. Okay, never mind. So let's get straight into the ladder. So, like I said, guys, we had this initial drive up out of the initial balance, and now we've had this kind of thrashing around, and we've just traded up to VWAP, which comes in around 30s, 29s, and I would never just leave an offer in at that price on such a profile as the way we were trading, because especially at the moment, the Bund can just reverse that entire move, and just selling VWAP or any of that kind of just off the technical setup, unless there's price action you like, then I wouldn't sell it. But this is what I mean. You're trying to make a trade work, and it's not necessarily a perfect trade. You haven't sold the highest price, you haven't got the best entry, but you're just trying to understand how we're auctioning in here, and then how we can kind of get the best price at this moment in time. So as you're saying, we're seeing 26 being reloaded, and we're seeing clips down into 25. So again, you're seeing this lift. This is what I mean, the patience, guys. You're seeing prices getting lifted, but then instantly being reloaded. The way I wanted to trade this was, originally, I wanted to see an uptick in the 7s like we did here. So we see an uptick in the 7s, and then we see that the 6s get pulled, right? The minute you see, so you had this auction block, and you see now I'm willing to pay down. So I've seen the 7s auction out, I've seen the 6s now reload, and the minute we start to get aggressive into 5s, then I want to add again. So I've been dynamic with my clip, but I understand the way that we're set up in the profile. At the moment, I'm currently short, a very rough idea, I'm short directly in the middle of this profile, very balanced, and the ledge comes in here around 20s. Sorry for the really crude drawing, but this is just the understanding of the trade, right? So you want to see how it auctions before then you can kind of then have confirmation of the trade, right? So I'm seeing my stop is above 27. Now I don't really want to see prices hold above 27. So 28s, 29s is where I'm going to start to get out of this initial clip. So the minute I see size into 5s, I want to add into this trade. So I see 200 lots trade into 25s, reload the offer. Notice the firm reload. And also, guys, just bear aware, at 20s, that level we were talking about, notice this big clip here. I've been seeing this guy in the Bund for the last few days now. He's I don't know what he's doing in the bund, but it's always 800 lots, 700 lots, and he's kind of jumping around, and you're seeing these like random prices pop up. You see it on the offer as well. So you're just understand, like, when you see this kind of size on a level, just always pay attention to it, and always remember the original size. So you're seeing sort of 800 lots. You just want to bear that into mind as to how we trade through it, right? So moving on, like at the moment, like I'm willing to start scaling out on my size here. Arguably too early, but like I said, guys, the initial trade, you can see where I have my offers in, so my bids in, or I want to start covering this trade, and it's just understanding, right? So you want to see prices auction out, right? So you've seen size trade to freeze and nothing really lift falls, right? And then you instantly see someone clip down 200 and then reload the offer, okay? So whatever size was lifting the offer, it was just to, it's just to kind of gain, to get position away, or you're seeing, because the offer goes heavy again. So you see, just because the freeze gets lifted doesn't mean that the trade is now, like, the momentum is drying up. And then you're seeing the big size clip down into the twos. Notice that the second this price goes reloaded and then offered again is when the price action changes, and then we start to see kind of momentum through 20s. So again, you're seeing big size into twos now. Notice the freeze is heavy again, still have a firm offer at 23s. Notice the size still at 20s, guys. The guy hasn't left, he hasn't pulled his bid at 20s yet. So now we're seeing 800 lots trade into twos, clip down into ones. We've had all this kind of thrashing around before this actual move kind of happened. So you've had people pay up, get short, pay up, get short, pay up, get short, and now you're actually seeing genuine intent in terms of the price action. Like, the price action has now changed, and you're seeing this kind of, you need to understand the best place to enter once it has kind of stopped thrashing around, and then how you can then kind of maximize your trade, your risk reward. So again, now you've seen the freeze reloaded. You want to see clips down into ones, and like when it's auctioning like this on the offer, like I was saying, it kind of changes, guys. You see a lot of aggressive clips up and down, whether it's the trend is up or down. So, but there's just constant like absorption, and it's more like a passive buyer or seller who's controlling the move. And it's hard at the moment in general with the bund. It's kind of, you're not getting paid out for aggressive trades. You're not getting paid out for selling the low tick, buying the high tick. It's kind of, you need to understand the larger technical setup, i.e. the failed breakout, i.e. the continuation trade of how they should rotate, how they should move. But then, once you have a good position, once you have a good area, like, it's just about being patient here. I mean, like, there's loads of reasons to be getting out early. I mean, like, I'm guilty of it myself. Paid up freeze when I had my bid in at twos. In theory, I shouldn't even be getting out until below 19s, really. But it's just about being patient when you see this price action, guys, and understanding, just as much as you're seeing twos being lifted right now, no size is trading to freeze, other than just now, and you see instantly reloaded, right? So again, your stop kind of goes down into, I'd be willing to, like, maybe scratch one of my lots here out of 25s, and then kind of, because in the nature of this trade, it should be a continuation trade. It should roll over. Like, we're seeing someone passively absorb here, but at any point he then pays up, then obviously you need to reconsider the trade. But at the moment, I'm happy to see freeze constantly reload. I'm happy to see exhaustion around fours, like we saw exhaustion at sixes, and then I clip down fives. So notice once the twos go offered and hold, like I was saying, Notice how we trade out so quickly now, and how it's so hard, to be a low tick seller in this situation. So you see 300 lots trading into ones. Notice, he does reload the bid here, but then the bid gets pulled. Notice the uptick, the small uptick, and then the clip down again. We'll clip down, and then we'll have a reload. And then the 20s. You see how the size is still here at 20s. So you're still paying attention to how much size was here, guys. So when it actually comes to that price, when we trade through, like, if it gets actually hit for his size, or if it's just a spoof. So again, you're seeing the ones now reload. We see twos go off and reload. We see ones go off and reload, and now we're seeing the size getting pulled away from 20s. So again, you're seeing size trade into ones. Any clips down into 20s. If we were to clip down 200 lots and we go offer, I'd be willing to sell into that clip again. After sort of looking back at this trade, like, understanding where you can get risk away. I mean, you could sell through the 20s, sell through the 19s. Just once you see it kind of flush through. Again, look, notice now the second we trade 20s, all the size is gone. Over half the size is gone now on the bid. Notice the upticks, tiny upticks. There's no now that we've kind of we've soaked up all the liquidity here between twos and fours. and now the aggressive clips come down into 20s, and notice the bid getting pulled. So we're constantly reloading, constantly at lower prices, willing to sell at lower prices, willing to absorb at lower prices. You've got people who are originally long in here as well, paying up, who are now going to start, paying down at lower prices, and it's that point when it kind of get that flush through that we're gonna see in a minute. So again, now we're seeing this is the area here at 20s. I think this is now 4 TPO ledge we're now having testing here at the 20s, and just notice the reload. We're seeing that offer in the way we're auctioning on the offer, guys. We're kind of it's kind of hard to sit through in terms of you're seeing such aggressive size up, such aggressive clips up, always into higher prices. But it's just being patient and knowing when your stop is the whole time. Like when the auctioning is like this, I find once you just know your stop and just and you stay true to it, like in any trade, it's it's a lot harder when it's like this, and it's kind of you have to be really methodical and understanding it, and and constantly aware as to how the price action is developing. It's not going to prove you wrong instantly, say when it's really flying around in high volatility, high velocity market, but it does pay you if you just kind of sit there disciplined. So if you're willing to sit through, you're seeing these reloading at 21. You're seeing the guy who was reloading 24s, 23s, now stepping down to 21s. Only can uptick the 2s, can only uptick the 3s, and then he gets instantly smacked back down again. And notice it would be different if there was no size going down, you see, but there's actually size being clipped into the bid. As long as I'm seeing size being clipped into the bid and then the offer reload, I'm happy with that. I'm happy to sit through that. I'm happy to sit through, just exhausting the buyer. So you're seeing the small uptick again, the bid gets pulled. 6 lots trade into 3s, heavy reload, then clip down into 2s. Again, the small clip up, heavy reload, clip down into 2s again. See, you wouldn't have been able to hit that price there again on the 2s, and now we have the 1s trade out again. You see, guys, this is all from just having that methodical approach of and kind of nimble approach of saying, you have to be dynamic, but not necessarily to stop, but understanding where you don't want to see price above again. So you've seen it now step down to 3s, you've seen someone reload the 2s, and now you're seeing someone clip down the 1s again. So then you're constantly. So then you want to see how we trade through 20s again. So we're sort of, as much as it's kind of, I wouldn't call this churn because, but it's just trying to. Like I said, the way it's trading, it's not high velocity, high momentum. So you're not going to get paid for selling low ticks and high ticks. You kind of have to. This is where the clip management comes into play again. So you sell the 6s, sell the 5s. If you want to be really sort of aggressive on the trade, you sell the 4s, you sell the 3s, and then you have to stop. You have your average price around 3s and 4s, and then you just kind of you kind of scale out the way you scaled in. So again, just notice the small clip down of the 20s. The first time we actually take 20s offered and then reload. We see 300 lots trade into 20s. So someone lifted 300 lots into 20s and instantly reload it. Now we're seeing prices, now we're seeing 19s trade out. Again, sort of any size into 19s you want to clip through again. So you've seen 20s reload. That 800 lot that was there, he was, he pulled his bid, and now we're sort of sitting there reloading that price. Notice how this price now acts as a pivot. 450 lots traded down. You wouldn't be able to get filled trading 19s. 300 again, 350 lots trading to 18s. Notice again the size paying down at lower prices, guys. You're seeing people willing to pay down at lower prices every time. Someone's soaking up the liquidity from the buyers and then kind of like squeezing them out. That's why you kind of fall into that trap of, again, you're seeing someone lift 600, 550 lots into 18s, reload the bid, and then clip down again, 200 lots clipping into 17s, second lowest price of the day. You're constantly just kind of squeezing everyone out, like draining everyone of 700 lots trading into 17s. And it's if you see how I mean, guys, in terms of you wouldn't get paid in here. If you want to say you offered 17s, 16s, you wouldn't get filled, and then you get squeezed on this rip up. In terms of how this just coming in at 14s, we had a really it was a steep 60-minute Bollinger Band, or regardless of what it was, just understanding the structure of how we're trading on weekly profiles, on daily profiles at the moment, guys. You're not getting paid for continuation trades out of balance. You know what I mean? It's very much so understanding. Okay, so where does momentum dry out, and when does the passive buyer? Again, you're seeing passive buyers soak up here. It's not aggressive in here. It's very much passive, but someone's soaking up. All of a sudden, we downtick the 16s, and all of a sudden now someone's willing to absorb over nearly 3,500 contracts at the 3 lowest price of the day. all of a sudden the price action's completely changed again, but this time now on the bid. So I mean, like I was saying, it's about identifying when it changes, and you're getting it on the offer as well as you're getting it on the bid, and it's kind of, you can take advantage of both sides. And again, as you see here, I try and scalp a few ticks in here. And as you notice how the initiative dries up, just seeing, so you're seeing all of a sudden someone's absorbed over these three prices, and now the offer's being lifted on those sides. And notice the firm reload and trade in. Okay, I did a lot of videos similar to this in Cape Town when we were trading out there with the guys. A lot of my debriefs out there with this kind of setup and understanding when the momentum fails and dries up. Again, and just notice, like I say, your stop is super tight. I mean, you don't really want to see prices below 17, 16. So as long as you're seeing, like, how I was saying, I was happy to see prices being lifted here, but then being clipped down. Here, I'm happy to see prices being clipped down, but like not much size. You know what I mean? As long as the bid stays firm and then gets lifted on small size, which you see in a minute, it then pays up very quickly in terms of, again, you don't get paid for lifting the highest price because it just goes bid. It just takes out everyone that's already short down here. It just pays up and squeezes. I mean, I only get a couple of ticks out of it, but and I end up averaging again down here. I kind of, to work the trade a bit better, but it's just about being nimble, guys. The whole premises of this debrief, as much as it's not necessarily a really niche price action play, is just trying to understand how you're seeing one type of price action but on two sides of the market. So you're seeing this really heavy reload, not necessarily like high, like punchy price action. You're just seeing it's very lethargic, but there is flow at times. I mean, this price action we were seeing for the whole of February. I felt this kind of price action is what we saw a lot of the time. And it doesn't, like I was saying, it doesn't pay you to chase low ticks and higher ticks. You just get, you get squeezed out, you get frustrated, and it's just, this is kind of, again, you're seeing the 700 lot guy up here. You see the offer kind of thicken up, and it just gives you that. It just kind of gives you that. It's like a red flag. If you were to still be short in here, in anticipation of a kind of continuation of this IB break, you'd instantly kind of need to start. You need to start lightening up, guys, in terms of. Your actual trade idea, because it just, once it starts to do this sort of price action, I find it usually fails, and it can get really sticky, and it can get really tough to play for continuation. But other than that, guys, I don't really have anything else for you today. I just want to leave you with this. I won't read out the whole quote because it's rather poetic, and I don't want to embarrass myself on the stream, but it's from Pebbles of Perception. I just read this recently. It's a really, really interesting book, guys. It's not trading related at all, but as just a general life, like insight into living a kind of better life, and just a more like how to view, not necessarily just challenges, but just it's just really fascinating, and just how everything is changed through perception. I mean, it's crazy how much can change with just whether you perceive price action, whether you perceive structure, whether you perceive a data point, how we perceive bad lows, bad highs, how we perceive areas which should be traded out or shouldn't be traded out. It's all kind of ties into this, and how you can kind of progress as a trader in terms of like everyday steps kind of thing. You can apply a lot of these principles every day. Throughout trading and just in general life. But yeah, like I really enjoyed it, and this is at the end of the book, this little segment, and it really, if you read the book, it sums it up unbelievably. I mean, you could literally just read this last paragraph, this last segment, sorry, and just get the whole gist of the book.